Even Stevens was created by Matt Dearborn and executive produced by David Brookwell and Sean McNamara. The show aired a total of 65 episodes over 3 seasons from June 17, 2000 to June 2nd of 2003. A made-for-television movie concluded the sitcom on June 13th of the same year. The show's premise centered around siblings Lewis and Ren Stevens, played by Shia LaBeouf, and Christy Carlson Romano. Lewis is considered the black sheep of his family, with an older sister who is a straight-A student and an older brother who excels as an athlete, and he struggles to find his place. Even Stevens was one of Disney Channel's first original programming, along with Flash Forward, The Famous Jet Jackson, The Jersey, and So Weird, among others. Its success led to sitcoms like Lizzie McGuire and That's So Raven to be created, which brought a variety of demographics to the network. And you may be wondering, what does Even Stevens have to do with the creation of High School Musical? Well, in the early 2000s, Disney Channel executives began incorporating musical elements into their sitcoms, and Even Stevens was the first to do so, with an episode entitled Influenza the Musical. The plot revolved around Ren Stevens, who is sick with the flu and goes to school to avoid ruining her perfect attendance record, causing chaos. The success of this episode led to other sitcoms such as That's So Raven also incorporating music into their episodes, including The Road to Audition. This episode features Raven and her friends trying to impress a janitor who they suspect is from their favorite television show, Undercover Superstar. Throughout this episode, we get a variety of musical moments, such as Raven leading a flash mob in the cafeteria while singing Shine, and Eddie rapping and dancing with the basketball team that is very reminiscent to Get Your Head in the Game. And Chelsea and Jasmine each singing their own songs, Alone in the Hallway and Drama Queen. This episode is one of my favorite musical episodes because the cast and the guest stars were so naturally talented and the musical format was not forced like other shows that came after. And Disney Channel executives like Gary Marsh were confident that this format could be replicated into an original full-length movie. High School Musical was the result. Written by Peter Barsolcini, the first draft of this script was created in 2004.
When I turned in the first draft, I turned it in December of 2004, didn't hear anything for 2 months from anybody. We thought, dead duck, over. And then I get a phone call 2 months later saying, yeah, they kind of like it. 2 days later, they said they're going to make it. That never happens. And it's sort of the story of High School Musical. Oddly, from the beginning, the planets lined up from day one.
Originally titled A High School Musical, the script was written with Peter's preteen daughter, Gabriella, and her childhood friends in mind.
Success of High School Musical. You know, when I wrote it, I thought it would be really fun to write a Disney Channel movie that my daughter, who was 10 years old when I started writing it, could watch. You know, because the 2 other things I was working on at the time were going to be R-rated, you know, and High School Musical was a completely different experience. We had an inkling, you know, early on there were signs, because it was the first time in my career and probably the last time that a company greenlit the first draft of the script. I wrote the first draft, turned it in, didn't hear anything for several weeks, which is usually the kiss of death. And, you know, good news travels fast and you have to go looking for the bad news in entertainment. But my phone rang and they said they really like it and they're sending it to directors.
The story was considered to be a modern-day Romeo and Juliet. Troy and Gabriella Montez were able to come together and prove that athletes and academic scholars can have an interest in musical theater. This story has showed us that high school can be tough, as it teaches us about cliques and individualism. Another person who inspired Peter to create High School Musical was his own father, who he incorporated into the character of Coach Jack Bolton, who is Troy Bolton's father. Peter's father was also his basketball coach in high school, and unfortunately, he lost his father during that time of his life. However, while writing the script for High School Musical, Peter was able to grieve over his father's passing, stating, quote, "In the musical, Troy's dad is the basketball coach, so it allowed me to reflect on the period of my life with some joy rather than sorrow and loss." Kenny Ortega, known for directing and choreographing films such as Dirty Dancing, Hocus Pocus, The Cheer Girls 2, and the Descendants franchise, was the director and choreographer for High School Musical. He joined the production after asking his agent if any small screen networks were in the process of making a made-for-television film. When Kenny was given the script for High School Musical, he was one of the first directors to receive it, and he loved it, stating, quote, "You know, this reminds me of growing up. This reminds me of my High School Musical theater days. I was an athlete, I was an actor. It was really adorable." At the time, Kenny did not know what the Disney Channel was, and he assumed that this project wouldn't be highly anticipated and wouldn't become a billion-dollar juggernaut. In the producer's chair was Don Shane, who produced notable films such as The Luck of the Irish, the Halloween Town franchise, Wendy Wu Homecoming Warrior, Read It and Weep, Minuteman, and so many others. He produced more than 24 Disney Channel films until 2010, before passing away in 2015. His legacy still lives on today from his work that he did on the Disney Channel, and we thank and appreciate him for that.
Over 600 boys and girls auditioned for the movie. The process for the actors, it was not like a traditional audition because they had to be able to act, they had to be able to sing, they had to be able to dance, and they had to be able to connect all three of those ideas and really bring forth an exciting and fun character and performance.
With the help of Judy Taylor, casting director at the Disney Channel, they were able to find their main 6 cast members of the film.
Absolutely nothing about them. And then 10 seconds later, you were playing like your best friends. Because you have to be anything but yourself.
Several actors auditioned for the role of Troy Bolton: Sterling Knight, Hunter Parrish, and Matthew Underwood. Corbin Bleu and Lucas Gabriel also auditioned, but ultimately were cast as Chad Danforth and Ryan Evans, respectively. Even Drew Seeley, who plays Joey Parker in Another Cinderella Story, auditioned for the role of Troy, but the role went to Zac Efron. Drew did, however, sing the vocals of Troy Bolton in the first movie.
Well, I know the reason why I got involved in the first place was because I co-wrote Get Your Head in the Game from the original film. So, I think they heard my voice on the demo for that, and then that's how I became part of the family. And then when the tour happened in North and South America in 2006, 2007, they called me to take over the Troy role for that. And got to spread High School Musical around the world that way. So,
a dozen actresses auditioned for the role of Gabriela Montez, including Ashley Tisdale and Monique Coleman. Other actresses who auditioned for the role were Cassie Steele from Degrassi: The Next Generation and Naya Rivera from Glee. Cassie allegedly was offered the role of Gabriela Montez after several screen tests, but had to decline due to conflict with the filming of High School Musical and Season 5 of Degrassi: The Next Generation. It would have been interesting to see Cassie in the role, as she did an amazing job playing Monty Santos. However, in the end, Vanessa Hudgens was cast as Gabriela Montez.
Every production, year in and year out, and then this girl comes from nowhere. Phoenix. Same difference.
During the auditions for the role of Gabriella, Kenny Ortega offered Ashley Tisdale the role of Sharpay Evans, mainly due to that he felt that she was best suited for the part. Lucas Gabriel was cast as Ryan Evans. When Lucas originally auditioned for the role of Troy, Kenny told him, quote, "You're not a Troy, you're a Ryan."
He did this funny thing. He melted in his chair and was like, oh, that was amazing. But you're not a Troy, because I was auditioning for Troy at the time. You are a Ryan. So I want you to go back outside and get the sides for Ryan and the lines, and come back in. And I was so nervous because I was like, I've worked so hard on this dialogue, these lines. I don't know if I can just switch. But obviously it worked out.
Corbin Bleu also auditioned for the role of Ryan Evans, and according to him, the characters Sharpay and Ryan were originally intended to be black, stating, quote, "I believe they found someone to play Sharpay, but they couldn't find a black equivalent for Ryan. And then they found Ashley, so they decided to cast Sharpay and Ryan as Caucasian." When Ashley and Lucas were up for the role of Sharpay and Ryan, they did not get along at all.
But it was so funny because all I remember is we were not close. We were not good friends, let's be honest, okay? It's been 10 years. We can totally talk about this now. We hated each other. Like, I'm not kidding.
No,
but
we didn't get off on the best foot.
We didn't, but then we were all in this together. No,
Exactly.
we really, like, I think we just didn't know each other, and I think I was definitely, like, a lot like Sharpay, and it was like, Lucas, like, who is this person? And then I was just like, who is this person? And we're like playing these twins. And I have to say, like, after we wrapped, though, it was just, I don't know. I've always had a love for you. You're literally like my twin brother.
I love you too.
You're the awesome.
You know,
awesome.
Mr. Rogers had a great quote that said, you can learn to love anyone if you hear their story. And I think that's what it took. We just needed to live some life and go through some experiences together and learn where both of us came from. And then, you know.
That's true.
It happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
You're going with me to see Troy and Gabrielle in the musical, right?
Kind of sounds like you're asking me on a date.
Must be your lucky day.
Corbin Bleu, who previously had a guest starring role on the pilot of Hannah Montana with the help of Judy Taylor, was invited back to audition for High School Musical. Although he initially auditioned for the roles of Troy Bolton and Ryan Evans, he was ultimately given the role of Troy's best friend, Chad Danforth.
The head of casting at Disney Channel for forever, and she recently retired, which is so sad, but so amazing and so incredible for her. So she cast me in Hannah Montana, and obviously because she knew me from that, she wanted to bring me in for High School Musical. So I think that's probably what happens is whenever you do a guest spot on one of those television shows, when they get to know you, they go, oh, well, maybe this, and then it just sort of snowballs in that way.
Monique Coleman's audition for the role of Taylor in High School Musical occurred only after the audition for Gabriella Montez did not work out.
I initially auditioned for the role of Gabriella.
Were you in LA when this happened?
Yes.
Okay.
So I auditioned for Gabriella, which is the role that Vanessa Hudgens obviously got.
Okay.
She's perfect. Like,
she's an angel.
She's an angel. I was not so perfect.
Oh, please.
I was so bad that when I was about to leave the audition room, I stopped at the door, turned around to the casting directors, and I said, listen, I just want you to know that I'm a better actress than what you saw in here today. I was nervous about singing. It's not my thing. I couldn't leave without letting you know that.
So you left it there on the floor. You were like, this is my truth.
Yes, I literally got to the door and was like, nah, I need you to know
you need
that,
to
like,
say, yeah.
And I think in that moment, they saw Taylor McKessie.
During that time, the role of Taylor came down to Monique and two Asian American actresses. However, Monique Coleman was chosen to be the role of Taylor because of her personality, intelligence, and passion for activism, which mirrored the character's many traits.
Read for the role of Taylor, that I think was the beginning of who I've become now and how I've sort of segued into this person who not just is an actress, but also is really heavily into philanthropy. And people think like, oh, that's because of Taylor McKessie. But actually, I think that I booked Taylor McKessie because that's actually who I really am.
From there, they flew into Salt Lake. We had a big table read where we read the entire script with all of the characters for the first time. It was like the first day all of the actors were present, and we played all of that music as we were going through the reading so that everybody got an idea of how the music integrated into our storytelling. And then we went into rehearsal.
The making of High School Musical took an entire 2 months. The main filming locations for the film were 2 high schools in Utah, East High School in Salt Lake City and Murray High School in Murray. The cast went through an intense 5-day musical boot camp, during which they recorded the entire soundtrack for the movie. Following a table read, they had 2 weeks of intensive dance rehearsals. In addition to their regular rehearsals, Zach and Corbin spent 3 hours a day practicing basketball to perfect their roles as the East High Wildcats. Upon studying the franchise, it became clear that Kenny Ortega was the driving force behind all 3 installments. However, Bonnie Story and Charles Klapow were pivotal in their roles as associate choreographers. Bonnie and Charles are responsible for iconic choreography like Get Your Head in the Game, Bop to the Top, and We're All in This Together. Additionally, Charles played an extra in the movie, appearing in various scenes and giving us bomb-ass choreography. Kenny, Bonnie, and Charles worked closely with the basketball technical director to choreograph Get Your Head in the Game, incorporating certain set plays driven by the lyrics of the song.
Hey everybody! Tonight of Disney Channel's new original movie, High School Musical. I'm Ashley Tisdale.
I'm Lucas Graybeal.
I'm Vanessa Ann Hudgens.
And I'm Zac Efron.
We'll be here throughout the movie to fill everyone in on all the premiere weekend events. Zach, the movie's about to start. Are you ready yet?
Don't worry, I got it. One more shot. Can we start now, Zach? It's the premiere of
High School Musical!
High School Musical premiered on January 20th, 2006 on the Disney Channel to rave reviews. It garnered 7.7 million views on its first night airing, cementing its place as a cultural phenomenon. The film's soundtrack was released a week prior to the premiere on January 10th and sold 3.7 million copies in the United States alone. The album even charted #1 on the Billboard's Soundtrack and Kids Albums charts, as well as #2 on the Billboard 200. And one of the tracks off of the album, Breaking Free, reached #4 on the Hot 100. Due to the film's positive reception by children and preteens, Disney Channel premiered a dance-along edition of High School Musical on March 10th of 2006. During commercial breaks, some of the cast taught the audience how to dance to Get Your Head in the Game, and we're all in this together. On May 23rd, High School Musical Encore Edition was released on DVD, combining the sing-along and dance-along versions into one. Actually, I was wrong. The two versions were on High School Musical Remix Edition, which was released December 5th of 2005, which included remixes of all the songs that we know and love, and a Spanish version of What I've Been Looking For. The DVD sold over 1.2 million copies in its first week of release. And fun fact, High School Musical was the first feature-length film to be available for download on iTunes in March of 2006. Due to the massive success, merchandise for High School Musical was released in 2007, like dolls, video games, board games, apparel, and even school supplies. The film was adapted into a stage musical with two versions, a 70-minute one-act play, and a full-length two-act show. The film even had a concert tour called High School Musical: The Concert, featuring 5 out of the 6 original cast members and featuring Drew Seeley. Due to the filming of Hairspray being a conflict due to concert tour, Zac Efron was unable to attend. But we got Drew Seeley, who was the original voice of Troy Bolton.